Hi, I'm Chuckie Thomas, and I'm a screenwriter, an author, a producer, and a Goonie, and I am the ADHD screenwriter. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips for editing the worst thing on earth. Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, please do all that stuff, like and subscribe. Comment below, I want to hear from you. Your trials and tribulations, what you think of the channel, all that stuff. Please comment below. I promise I do want to hear it. So this video is all about editing, and boy, do I hate it. It's literally the worst thing on earth to me. I like to just complete a script, and it's perfect, and it's done. But guess what? That doesn't happen. It never happens, and you got to edit. So I'm going to give you some tips, especially for people who have ADHD like me, because it's extra tough because we don't get any positive reinforcement. Our brain doesn't care, and you got to find ways to care. So I'm going to tell you, here we go. No matter what you wrote, doesn't matter if it's a feature, pilot, short story, novel, no matter what you wrote, it's broken up into sections, right? So a feature, say, is broken up into 3 acts. So if you really wanted to break this editing session up, you can go back and look at separate sections. This is especially important for people with ADHD or other mental illnesses me and you might have, because we start to not pay attention, especially people like me, because I hate editing, as I mentioned earlier. I don't like it, so I don't pay attention unless I break things up into sections. Now I'm saying sections, and you decide what that means, right? If you feel like you can get through a couple paragraphs of, like, say, your novel or whatever, and that's all you can get through to edit, do that, take a break, come back, and get back into it. You don't have to do the whole thing at once. You didn't write the script in a day, a full feature in a day probably. You can't edit it in a day. Break it up into sections, into digestible sections, and it'll be much easier. You know when you're driving and the music's a little bit too loud, you're looking for your friend's house or this little mini store or something, you can't see it, so you turn the music down to concentrate? I'm actually going to tell you the opposite. What helps me, for some reason, if I'm editing, I'll put on a TV show or a song or something in the background that's marginally loud. I wouldn't say blasting or blaring or anything, but it's louder than the music when I write, right? So it's more of a distraction that, for some reason, because of my brain, I guess, that I can concentrate on the words and how to edit them more clearly. Like I can take a sentence and just read the sentence for what it is as a sentence instead of something that I wrote. I don't know what it is. It just helps distract my brain, I guess. My writing professor in undergrad actually called it the lizard brain. He said, find a way to distract that lizard brain. He may have had ADHD too, actually, now I think about it. That might have been what he was talking about. But find something to distract that lizard brain so the rest of your brain can work on the story and look for what you need to either edit out or clarify or whatever it is. So try something mildly distracting and it might work for you too. So going back to point number 1, sort of piggybacking off of that for a minute. Another way of breaking up a script is to look at specific, very specific things. For example, you can go through the script and look at just dialogue, right? See if, hey, does this character sound like a human being or maybe an alien or something, if that's what it's supposed to be? Does the dialogue make sense for the character? What they're saying, does it make sense for the scene? Maybe you got ahead of yourself and you revealed a plot point too early and like, oh, I should take a look at that. Just look at the dialogue on that pass. Then the next time you go through, let's say it's an action script and you've got a bunch of cool fight scenes, but you're worried if it makes logistical sense, go back and look at just that section or those sections of the fight scenes, right? So you can concentrate solely on that. Section by section of the script, you're going to get it done. Maybe even talk about the ending, which is what everyone's going to remember when they leave the theater. It's very important. Concentrate solely on the ending, not worrying about anything else. Just, can you make that better? And I have a really specific tip here, especially if you're worried about page count. There is a term, it's called widows or hangers. Widows or hangers. And when you're looking at a script and you see maybe a paragraph and then there's like one word that's just kind of hanging there at the end, there are ways to edit those paragraphs down and get rid of those widows or hangers, whatever they're called now. And you can actually lose several pages of script and just tighten it up just from doing that. And all of a sudden your 100-page script goes down to like 95 and you go, whoa, all of a sudden this is viable. That's a very specific and simple trick, but that's one of the things you can look for when you break it into sections. One thing I've noticed as a reader for the Atlanta Film Festival screenplay competition, a lot of the scripts that come in don't have a lot of description, right? So people, places, things of note that they just kind of throw in there. Like, it's a church. This person's tall. This is a visual medium. I'll kind of want to know what I'm looking at. And in fact, it's funny, I went back and looked at my own scripts, and guess what I was doing? I was not describing things well enough. I would just put like, it's a hospital. Sure, it's a hospital, but there's ways of making it more interesting, right? Maybe say like it's a church. You could just call it a church and maybe get away with it, but what kind of church is it? Is there maybe like an old broken cross or something and it symbolizes the main character's journey and growth or whatever and struggle? You know, there's just little ways of strengthening it, and it comes through description. As far as people goes, I have a little trick that I like to do. I like to give some of the personality in the description instead of just clothes or whatever, which, you know, sometimes that's fine. The clothes can show a person's character, but I like to have some of the personality. So one recent example, I said, this minor character likes to collect ceramic pigs. So she just looks like someone who might collect ceramic pigs, and that gives the casting department something to go on. Like you get an idea of stereotypes of people, right? And that's something like that doesn't go off of something derogative. Or maybe someone's really tall and muscular or something like that, but maybe that's not interesting enough. So you give them some cool clothes or a haircut or something visual that we can cling to. And I guarantee if you go back and strengthen some of these descriptions, the rest of your script is just going to sing. So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, and maybe I should just change the name of the channel to Hold a Table Read, but point number 5 is essentially hold a table read. That's not true. The actual real note is get real notes, right? So you hand it to your mom. She says she loves you. She says everything you do is amazing. That's great, and it makes you feel better. That's not a note. That doesn't help. Unless she says, I love you, this script sucks, and here's why. That's a great note from your mom, and you should thank your mom. Otherwise, you need to do something like holding a table read. Find a bunch of people who maybe they're actors, maybe they're other filmmakers, maybe they're just people you trust. Maybe you bring in somebody who doesn't like you very much. Maybe it doesn't hate you, but they're on the other side of indifferent. That way, they're going to give you some pretty straightforward notes, and you might be able to trust that those are real, right? Some of your friends might come along and say, I really think this is great and you're doing a good job. That's not helpful. A table read gives you a much better idea of where your script is. Now, as far as notes goes, if you have mental illness like me, you want to yell at these people when they're giving you notes, but you got to keep that trap shut and listen to them and write everything down so you can read them later. However, I don't mean you need to implement every single note, right? Not every note makes sense. In fact, I've gotten a lot of notes that literally did not make sense. Now, I didn't yell at that person. I wrote it down, and maybe I wrote next to it, this does not make sense, but I still wrote it down. And my rule of thumb is, if one person says it, that's somebody's stupid opinion. But if 3 people say it, that's a pattern. Then I should absolutely look at it. Doesn't mean I need to change it, but it's being pointed out by more people than just one person. There's probably something there. So again, sound like a broken record. Please hold a table read. Get better notes that you can then use to go edit your script. So that was it. Those are my 5 tips for editing, which is the worst thing on earth. Hopefully this helps you out and makes it not quite so bad. Do you have your own tips for editing? Do you maybe want to talk about editing and complain about it in the comments? I will probably answer you and help you complain about it because, again, it's awful, but we'll get there together. Please make sure to subscribe and all that kind of stuff down below too, because we're got lots of more great videos. And again, I appreciate all the views and all the comments we've gotten so far. And as always, are you using this video to disassociate and not write, or I guess edit? If so, hit pause, go write/edit, and then come back and we'll see you next time.